If we could find our seats, we will start our induction ceremonies. Feel free to take your hors d'oeuvres, snacks, beer, wine, soda, water, whatever to your seat with you. We keep the party going here. Thank you, Brad.
Okay, I'm finished. I'm sorry.
He was inducted last year. Well, good evening, everybody. My name's Kent Johnson. I'm Senior Associate AD here at West Texas A&M, and it's my privilege to MC tonight's event. This is our 35th class to be inducted into the West Texas A&M Athletics Hall of Champions. The Hall of Champions recognizes the finest student athletes, coaches, administrators, and individuals who have achieved notable success during their WT career or have achieved notable success in their professional careers after their days here at WT. Inductees are determined by the Hall of Champions Selection Committee. This committee is comprised of 25 individuals. The committee members are selected by the Director of Athletics and approved by the University President. The selection committee is responsible for narrowing the field of candidates and determining which individuals should be recommended to the Director of Athletics and University President for induction into the Hall of Champions. At this time, I'd like to take a few moments and recognize our Hall of Champions committee. Let's hold our applause until we get through everybody. Our committee is comprised of various groups of people. Our first group are members of the Hall of Champions, and they include Dalton Bell, Lori DeShields Davis, J.R. Compton, Kim LeCompte Segura, Mike Wardes, Scott Doors, Kendra Morgan Potts, and Matthew Madison. Our next group are the 4 current WT head coaches with the longest tenure. They include Meredith Jameson, Butch Laufer, Chad Webb, and Matt Vanderberg. We also have 4 current donors to the WT Buffalo Club, and this group includes Bruce Barrett, John Teeters, Jewel Minium, and Jan Edwards. We have 3 current full-time athletic administration staff, and they include our chair, Kimberly Dudley, Brent Seals, and myself. We have 3 current university faculty or staff with 10-plus years of service. This group includes Blake Price, Ronnie Hall, and Robin Patterson. We have 2 members of the university's president's cabinet. They are Mike Knox and Angela Allen. And finally, 1 member of the athletics broadcasting media, and that person is Lucas Kinsey. So that's our 25-member nomination committee. Scott Doors is a native of Farnsworth, Texas, and a graduate of Perryton High School, and he was a varsity letter winner in both basketball and football while at WT in the early 70s. During his 3 years on the Buffalo's varsity basketball team, he was coached by Hall of Champions member Dennis Walling. Doors was known as a tenacious and consummate team player. Doors also played football for the Buffaloes under head coach Gene Mayfield. Following his graduation from WT in 1974, he played professionally overseas basketball in France and Germany, and at the same time helped find fellow Buffalo teammates playing opportunities in Europe. Following his playing days, he founded AudioTel Corporation, which specialized in software for financial institutions. Doors was inducted into the WT Hall of Champions back in 2006, and at this time I'd like to call Scott to the podium for a few words.
Not as organized or coordinated as I used to be, I guess. You know, my children have no concept how I ever had the ability to run or jump. But anyway, What a wonderful night this is. It's a special night. I see all these wonderful people out here that are close friends. And all of us that are not honorees tonight, we have something in common. We really appreciate these people that are about to be inducted. First, I'd like to convey our appreciation to all of you for all the wind sprints, road work, dissertations, sore muscles you had to endure to be able to accomplish what you've done and to get here tonight. So good work, good job. However, we sincerely appreciate a few other things about each of you. We appreciate how you served as a role model for our younger people in the Texas Panhandle and in your hometowns. Kids that chose you to be their hero, and you didn't let them down, and you didn't disappoint. We also appreciate how you provided leadership on your teams and in your workplace, and helped your teammates be the best they could be. Finally, we appreciate how you honor yourself, your family and friends, and this university by being the person that you are. Tonight is one of those times you will remember for the rest of your life. Welcome to the hall. Enjoy. You earned it.
Thank you, Scott. Our first set of awards that we're going to hand out is our Legacy Awards, and here to present them is our Director of Athletics, Michael McBroom.
I still have a little step there, Scott. Good evening, and thank everyone for coming. It's so good to see so many friends from near and far, and from a few years ago to just people we met today. It's my distinct honor to announce the Legacy Award recipients this evening. We established this award in 2008 to recognize individuals who've made significant contributions to the success of our athletics program, specifically those who support our student athletes and coaches and help us build a culture that sets us apart for our teams. Recipients of the Legacy Award are really the champions behind the scenes of what we do, and they are recognized along with our Hall of Champions inductees at a permanent display in the Hall of Champions at the First United Bank Center. This year, the selection committee considered more than 20 nominees before the voting process determined the 4 legacy recipients for the class of 2002. The first Legacy Award goes to Danny and Rachel Bird. Come on up, Danny. Rachel. Support from the Birds has stretched almost 2 decades in a variety of ways. Their restaurant, Feldman's Wrong Way Diner, has been a corporate partner since they first opened in Canyon. Many of you are familiar with game day promotions such as the Feldman's Wrong Way Kick and Feldman's Wrong Way Shot. These have become fan favorites through the years. Feldman's also provides significant help to our coaches with recruiting visits, team meals, catering needs, and more. Personally, Danny and Rachel are super fans and have given generously to our student-athlete scholarships through the Buffalo Club. They've also established the Danny and Rachel Bird Baseball Program Fund, and this provides financial support for facility and equipment upgrades for our nationally ranked baseball program. Presenting Danny and Rachel with their award, which has already been done by our illustrious Coach Vanderberg, is baseball coach Matt Vanderberg. Thank you. The next Legacy Award goes to someone who's become a dear friend to our student athletes, coaches, and staff. Judy Fugate is an avid fan of our Lady Buffs and in fact was a Lady Buff herself when she attended WT. If there's a volleyball, basketball, or softball game around, she's likely there. And heck, just last week we saw her out at a golf tournament at Tascosa cheering on our women's team to their first tournament win for this season. This past year, with the most generous gift that just happened to coincide with the 50th anniversary of Title IX, Judy established a scholarship endowment that will benefit all women's athletic teams in perpetuity at WT. What this means is that going forward, every single Lady Buff on scholarship at WT will have at least a portion of that scholarship funded by Judy's endowed scholarship for women's athletics. She supports and encourages our teams with her voice. She justifiably assists with referees and umpires with their decision-making, and warms the bellies of team members with home-cooked meals, goodie bags for road trips, or just showing up to practice with cookies for the team. Presenting Judy with her Legacy Award is our outstanding Lady Buff basketball student athlete, Miss Jayla Burgess. Judy. The next Legacy Award goes to campus favorites Harry and Marianne Houston, or should I say Dr. and Mrs. H. Dr. H is a recently retired professor of criminal justice here at WT. He and I arrived on campus at about the same time, which was what, Dr. H? About the time they put out the historic fire at Old Main? About that time, but hey, it's both of us. We've been here about the same time. In addition to his duties on the faculty, Dr. H has assisted coaches with on-campus recruiting visits for nearly 2 decades and continues in that capacity today. The rule around the department is if Dr. H can get 15 minutes with a recruit, it's as good as done. We've signed him, and he'll tell you he's batting 1,000 over 20 years, which is pretty good. Sure bet as you can get. The Houstons are longtime Buffalo Club donors, have season tickets in every sport, host team for meals, serve as board members for the campus FCA. And they also established an endowed fund that provides emergency financial assistance to student athletes who are going through a difficult time in their life with their family for a variety of things, which it fills an important gap for us, and I know is near and dear to their heart as well. In addition, Dr. H and Marianne have been champions of our academic pursuits. We spent a lot of times over coffee talking about how to get that GPA up and those graduation rates up. And they help us in continuing that message with their meetings with student athletes and at the meals they host. And, you know, when Dr. H was teaching, I just say this because you called me a few times, man. May the good Lord help you if you ever skipped one of his classes if you were a student athlete, because the first call was to me, and then he was out at the practice field yanking the athlete off the field, right? Their candor, love, and support for our athletes has made them a second set of parents and grandparents for many. They truly personify our West Texas spirit and sense of community, and we are proud to recognize them this evening. Presenting the Legacy Award to Dr. and Mrs. H on behalf of our student athletes is our men's soccer player, Mr. Trevor Carpani. Trevor. Stick around for a picture. Our final Legacy Award goes to another special couple with a long history of supporting our teams and university, Mr. Dan and Lois Schumann. For nearly 30 years, the Schumans have been a vital part of the fabric of our program. Season ticket holders at most venues, the Schumans hardly miss a home event and are known to travel a little bit too. Members of the Buffalo Club since 1995, they give annually to student athlete scholarships and team projects. And in addition, Dan and his Edward Jones office have been longtime corporate partners of our program. But the Schumans' support through the years is much more than that. They regularly host team meals at their home, and if you ever get that invitation, take them up on it, because Dan knows his way around the smoker just a little bit, and the food is incredible. True story. A couple of weeks ago, they hosted the football team. They were over there. I think he did his pulled pork and stuff that he normally does. A couple of days later, some players came back, and I'm not kidding you, they said, hey, as part of our scholarship, can we check the Schumann meal plan instead of the campus meal plan? I thought that was great. We have smart kids around here, so if that's an option. Lois is a retired staff member here at WT in the Office of Admissions who spent many years helping coaches with getting kids admitted to campus, scholarships, and financial aid, and also served as an advisor with campus services. In addition, they both assist Dr. Hunt with his campus FCA ministry, which has a tremendous impact on the faith lives of our student athletes. The relationships that the Schumans build with our coaches, our students, and our students' families and our fans is so important to the success of our program. Through thick and thin, they have supported our teams, and it is with great gratitude and appreciation that we honor them this evening. Presenting the Schumans with their Legacy Award on behalf of our student athletes is softball player Gabby Belforte.
Well, again, congratulations and thank you to our Legacy Award winners. It's people like you that really helps athletics be successful, and WT is incredibly successful as well as incredibly fortunate to have the type of people such as yourselves involved with us. So thank you. Now let's move forward into our individual induction awards. As I call your name, please come forward and then remain up here. We'll take a picture and then find a seat, and we'll be prepared for our panel discussion. Our first inductee is Seb Furness.
A native of Middlesbrough, England, Seb Furness is considered one of the best goalkeepers in WT program history. He was a part of 45 victories for the Buffs from 2008 to 2011, including a run to the 2009 Regional Championship. Furness still holds the WT career record for saves with 209. He played professionally in Iceland before beginning a coaching career which ultimately led him to LSU.
As mentioned, Seb is currently living with his family in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he is a member of the LSU women's soccer program, serving as the associate head coach. Our next inductee is Tony Greystone.
With 315 victories over 10 seasons, Tony Greystone became the winningest coach in Lady Buff volleyball history. Coach Greystone led WT to 8 Lone Star Conference titles, 5 regional tournaments, and a national championship appearance in 2009. Under his watch, the Lady Buffs produced an astounding 16 All-Americans. Greystone spent 7 seasons at Texas A&M Corpus Christi before becoming head coach at Texas Tech in 2016.
Tony is unable to be with us tonight as his Red Raiders are hosting the Red Raider Invitational Volleyball Tournament, but accepting on his behalf is WT's head volleyball coach and former assistant to Tony, Kendra Potts. And she told me she texted him earlier, and that's what he said to say. Our next inductee is Rita Hokianga.
Rita Hokianga was an ace in every aspect for the Lady Buffs 2014 National Championship team. Named All-American that season, Hokianga collected 29 wins in the circle while striking out 283 batters. She was named MVP of the 2014 World Series, winning all 4 games for the Lady Buffs. Rita made 71 appearances for WT, registering 49 wins. After her college career, Hokianga represented her home country of New Zealand on the national team.
Rita currently resides with her family in her hometown of Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, where she works for the Department of Social Welfare. Our next inductee is Glory Jangthansiri.
A three-time All-American for the Lady Buffs, Glory Jangthansiri is one of the most decorated women's golfers at West Texas A&M. Glory qualified for the NCAA regional tournament 4 times in her career and made the national tourney in 2015. Jangthansiri held an overall scoring average of 75.58 during her 96 rounds, which ranks second in program history. She also leads WT all-time with 7 career victories.
Glory, unfortunately, is not with us tonight. Work commitments. She is living in Poland, and she's still overseas. But accepting on her behalf is her former Lady Buff golfing teammate, Whitley Woods Greathouse. Our next inductee is Marshall Kozowski.
Just 1 season on the mound for West Texas A&M, pitcher Marshall Kozowski made a lasting impact on the program. Kozowski set a new LSC record for strikeouts in a season while helping the Buffs to the 2017 LSC Tournament Championship. He was selected LSC and South Central Region Pitcher of the Year while also being named an All-American. Kozowski led the nation in strikeouts with 165 and was selected by the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 13th round of the MLB draft. He currently plays with the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
Again, Marshall is unable to be with us tonight. He's pitching for the Oklahoma City Dodgers. The story is, and this is a good one, the LA Dodgers just did their September call-ups that elevated Marshall's importance with the OKC team, and the Dodgers suggested the fact that Oklahoma City's just 2 back in the Pacific Coast League race, he needed to be with the baseball team. So he's in Albuquerque tonight playing baseball, but we had his coach, Matt Vanderberg, as well as his mother, Regina, and his father, Mike, with us, and his dad wants to make a few comments on Marshall's behalf.
It's a good reason on his behalf to not be here tonight, and I do appreciate all this school has done for him personally, professionally, and academically. Thank you very much on his behalf. It's an honor to be here.
Our next inductee is Dr. J. Patrick O'Brien.
The continued success of West Texas A&M athletics is directly tied to Dr. J. Patrick O'Brien's decade as university president from 2006 to 2016. Under his leadership, WT enjoyed championship-level success in all programs. WT became the first school in the LSC to provide full scholarship funding for all sports. Updated facilities and modern residence halls were among the $150 million in new construction during his tenure. Dr. O'Brien and his wife Karen now reside in New Orleans.
Our next inductee is Laura Princeton.
The volleyball career of 2-time All-American Laura Princeton is beyond impressive. Princeton ranks 4th in program history with nearly 1,700 kills. She's also one of only 7 players to record 1,000 kills and digs. Named LSC Freshman of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year during her career, Princeton was an integral part of 4 LSC championships, 4 NCAA postseason trips, and a Lady Buff appearance in the National Championship in 2009.
Laura and her family currently live in Springfield, Missouri, where she works for a software supplier to the financial industry. And our next inductee is Eugene Sims.
One of the greatest defensive linemen to ever don the maroon and white, Eugene Sims dominated the competition in 2008 and 2009. Sims was a two-time LSC Defensive Lineman of the Year as he piled up 112 tackles and 17 sacks. He helped lead WT to the second round of the playoffs in 2008. Sims was drafted in the 6th round of the 2010 NFL Draft by the St. Louis Rams, and he made 20 starts over 7 seasons.
And our next inductee is Libby Strickland.
One of the most decorated track and field athletes in West Texas A&M history, Libby Strickland takes her rightful place in the Hall of Champions. A local talent from Amarillo, Libby was on 3 LSC championship teams. She was an 11-time All-American and claimed the 2014 LSC Outdoor Field Athlete of the Year. She was also outstanding in the classroom as a 6-time All-Academic honoree and 2-time Wes Kitley Award winner. As if her track resume wasn't enough, Strickland also played for the Lady Buffs volleyball team.
All right, I'll backtrack here to Eugene. Since retiring from the National Football League, he lives with his family in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And Libby and her family currently reside in Denton, Texas, where Libby works as a mortgage officer. Now, before we get into our panel discussion, let's take a few moments to hear some comments by our 3 inductees who are not able to be with us tonight.
Of course, it starts with Lauren and Drew and Dylan, my family, and the support that they've shown, and just the understanding of what it takes to be a coach and time away, and they just have always been right there with me. We've been through a lot together, and it means everything that we've been able to do that as a family. Of course, I want to thank Debbie Hendricks for hiring me and bringing me to WT, and for her leadership, her mentorship, and for her, paving the way for me to take over when she left. Ed Harris was my first AD at WT. He hired me, believed in me. I had a ton of respect for Ed. I really respected his leadership. He was a great mentor. And that continued with Michael McBroom. Him and I are still good friends, and I just really appreciate all the support he gave. The coaches that I work with, in particular, Kim Falkenhagen, Holly, Russell McElroy, and then Kendra. We had a great time together. It was never going to work. We were always there together, and we had a lot of success. It was a lot of fun. Some amazing boosters, Gary Hyatt, Lanny, the Stewarts, I could go on and on. Brad, just so many people that were attached to us and wanted to see us be successful and would do literally anything to make that happen. Their support for me was just second to none. I'd never forget it. And then, of course, the players. We had some incredible teams. So many players that are all over the record books and have the fans have attached to, and every time they come back, and they're so well received, and so many players that I'm still connected to today, and I really appreciate everything that they gave for us, and I feel like we went through this all together, and so it was a really special time.
I'd like to thank all of my coaches at WT and my teammates that we have been through a lot together, like practicing, and especially those who got cars that pick me up and drop me off every single time that we have done that all 4 years. And yeah, I would like to thank my parents as well, my mom and my dad, for being like the greatest supporter that I could ask for. And yeah, thanks again, Coach Jameson, for basically keep pushing us. And I know that I'm not like the best the best athlete that you had before. I don't really follow rules, but I hope I didn't cause you so much trouble. But yeah, thank you for hanging in there and supporting us. And my teammates, I'm not sure if I got everyone, but I would say thank you, Whitley, Judy, Elise, Maddie, Alex, Caitlin, Luki, and Vanessa, Lindsay, Eva, and I'm sure I forgot some more people, but I would like to thank everyone that I have met at WT.
My teammates, I mean, each and every one of them, you know, surrounded me, embraced me, and allowed me to take my abilities to the next level. I don't think people truly understand what great teammates really do for individuals, but that entire team was something that will forever be held close to my heart. I want to thank Sean Neal, Corey Hall, outstanding people, coaches to be around. And most importantly, I want to thank Coach Vanderberg for taking the leap of faith and giving me the opportunity to come play at WT. Also want to thank my family. Could not do any of this without them. It's a team effort, always has been. So, and Mom and Dad, thanks for being there tonight to, show my support. I would do anything to be there, but still chasing a dream myself. So there was some of those sacrifices getting away. But first and foremost, thank you to everybody. Thank you, WT community, absolutely, on the education side, athletic side, everybody. So many names involved. This has been a collective team effort. Can't stress that enough. So I hope this finds everyone well. And thank you very much again for this super, super amazing award. It's a huge honor for me and my family. Huge honor for baseball, WT baseball program. And I look forward to help contributing to carrying the legacy of WT and WT athletics.
You know, it's amazing to look back on not just our coaches, but our student athletes at where life takes them. And we're going to find that out tonight as we visit with our inductees now. WT is in the top of Texas, in a part of the country most people don't think of, but when they move on in life, they go throughout the world and just spread betterment everywhere they go. So I'm going to start with Dr. O'Brien, not because he's the senior member here, but this is kind of cool in that every inductee we have this year attended WT while you were the president from 2006 to 16, and that's got to be a source of pride for you.
It is. One of the things I'm most proud of is how we grew in athletics at WT. Not only the academic side of the house, where we finally started getting recognition for the great programs that we have, but also in athletics in two aspects. One, the student athletes were absolutely superb. These individuals sitting on the stage and all of the other student athletes that we've had come through the program have just been absolute delights to work with, not only on the field, but also academically. Our graduation rates increased, our GPAs by teams increased, our retention increased, and I attribute that to the coaches. Well, first off, I attribute that to the superb student athletes that we had. But then the coaches who provided leadership and mentorship to the administrators that we had in athletics, to the faculty members that were more than willing to work with each and every one of these student athletes, and for the boosters who provided the funds so that we could do what we wanted to do at the institution.
Athletics obviously played an important part in your vision of what the university should be. To that end, under your tenure, all sports were fully funded and athletics achieved complete Title IX compliance. Your vision of the university included athletics. That seems to be kind of a part of your DNA.
It is. I love athletics. I was not an athlete after high school, but I love to watch the athletes train and perform on the field. I mean, that gives you great joy. Tonight, Karen and I were over at the volleyball game, and sitting there, you realize just how much you miss being in that environment, watching those student athletes excel. And that's fun. That gave us a lot of joy while we were here. I'd like to also, at this time, appreciate and recognize Karen. I never would have been able to accomplish what I did without her. And sitting next to her is Tracy Post, who ran the president's office. So thank you, Tracy.
Okay, in our format tonight, we're going to bounce around. We're not going to stay with one person. Good. Dr. O'Brien happened to mention volleyball. And Laura, that's going to give the microphone to you. You came to WT from Spring, Texas, outside of Houston. You come up here, and the volleyball following up here is unbelievable. Let's start just with your thoughts, experiences, and memories of Lady Buff Nation.
Well, that's a lot to go over that I don't know if I could fully express all of it, just because of how much it, hindsight looking back at it, meant to me. Just with, like, even with Tony taking me on, which originally, like when we were talking with my dad the other night at dinner, I had a bit of a wild arm. Like, it was just, you know, I could hit the back wall with one of those, and so like kind of took that on to molding me into more of apparently now a All-American. And so between that, I mean, all the parents, the boosters, like Kendra, who is still here, thank you, hi, like just having all of that support, I don't think has ever gone unnoticed.
And let's keep it with you. Tony, who you mentioned,
yes,
should be up here with us. He's busy tonight, but talk about playing for him, what he was like as a coach or a friend and mentor, as well as Coach Potts.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, I mean, I don't know if you can really tell from videos. I mean, he's super awesome to get to know on a personal level. But yeah, he's not much of the media outside of all of that. He was very understanding, and I've always appreciated his style of coaching, and it really just kind of meant a whole lot to me to be able to have played for him specifically also.
We're going to bounce down to this end. Eugene Sims from the football side. You were here 2008, 2009. You came from one of the smallest towns in Mississippi, Mount Olive. You went to the Mississippi junior college system and then come to WT. Following graduation, you were drafted in the middle rounds of the NFL, which isn't really the road to success. And then you played 7 years with the Rams, both in St. Louis and Los Angeles. Was there someone in your background that served as your inspiration to be successful?
Oh, man, yeah. You know, Canyon, like you said, I came from a small town, and Canyon pretty much is similar to the town that I came from. And my inspiration was my uncle, Derek Ducksworth. Stand up. Hey, that was a Mona Gator. If you don't know what a Mona Gator is, ask me later. I'll let you know what it is. But to brag on him, he was the number one. I was growing up 11 years old, I want to say. 17, he was 17, and he was the number 1 linebacker in the country and the number 2 running back in the country, and that was big to me. And he gave me the football, and he taught me about it, and he inspired me the game, and that what drove me. Yeah.
And he's obviously played a role in your life ever since.
Oh, every day I wake up, it's a text message from the Bible. You know, he's big on God, and he keep me grounded.
Rita, let's go to you. You came to WT from Eastern Arizona Junior College, played here in 2014 and 15. In your first year, the Lady Buffs win their first ever softball national championship. Had to be an incredible thrill for you.
Oh, it was awesome. I loved playing for WT. The atmosphere with my teammates, a couple of them are here today. I think we were just on, really. We all gelled pretty well together, on and off the field. And when it came time to do the job, we did it.
People remember that team as being offensively overpowering. And the World Series, the College World Series, was won when Brittany Gale hit the walk-off home run. But how many people remember that during the national tournament, Rita won 4 games, went 4-0, and was selected as the tournament most valuable player? How was it pitching for a team that you knew was going to give you incredible run support?
It was awesome, actually. I would always, try and tell Coach B to just let me have a hit, But I would always try my luck. Never managed to get there, though. But that's okay, because I actually understood my role on the team. And I was very confident in our offensive and defensive team as well. So, yeah, it was awesome to play alongside my teammates and knowing that they had my back defensively and offensively as well.
All right, Seb, goalkeeper.
Unfortunately.
Last year, we inducted Paul Hart, who preceded you by a few years as an outstanding goalkeeper, and then you come along and break many of his records. Some of them are still standing. Your record for saves in a season and your 3rd in career shutouts. That's incredible. What was your pathway to Canyon, Texas from Middleborough, England?
Great question. I remember the call well from Coach Lawther, Butch as we call him. I thought I was being pranked. I've never been to the US, and I've got what I thought was a deep Texas accent on the other side of the phone, and I thought it was a prank phone call. But 2 weeks later, he's on the side of a field in the pissing rain down in England. I don't think I'd ever seen him so cold. He managed the last 90 minutes, and from there, we had a couple of friends. We had a strong European connection on the team at the time, and they spoke really highly about the team, the program, but also what was really important for me was the development to go on to the next level, which I was fortunate enough to do afterwards. And I felt like Butch was the guy. We had our ups and downs in our relationship along the way, me and Butch. But yeah, on to Paul. Paul, who was here last year, I felt like, and this is, I think, one of the best things about the program, I saw Paul's face on the wall every single day in the locker room. And I felt like I was chasing Paul's ghost every single day, whether it was practice or games. And Paul's now the associate head coach at Stanford. I see him on the road recruiting all the time. And, we're like a band of brothers, the WT boys in the soccer community that's gone on to keep playing. But, yeah, good times.
Now, you mentioned the Band of Brothers. When we were speaking on the phone the other day, you mentioned that there is a group of you that are WT soccer alum that stay in contact. Talk a little bit about the group.
Well, listen, I actually owe WT for me getting the LSU job. I was hired as the recruiting coordinator at LSU, and one of the big reasons was I had to recruit the state of Texas. So give Butch a call immediately, and I'm like, Butch, I'm recruiting the state of Texas, and he gives me a list of people, people from the past, Omar Morales, Wes Skeevers, Bo Brown, and 4 or 5 more that Butch put in contact with, and it was when we see each other on the roads, you know, we're all kind of like these guys. We're all living away right now, but it's like we've never been apart. And whether we played together, whether, you know, some of these guys were back in the late 90s, some of them, even some of the younger guys now, late 2010s, whatever it may be. There's something about this place that we all went through that brings us together. And, you know, we'll always find a way to celebrate it, go on the road, get a beer. But yeah, it means a lot to us. And I think you said at the start there that not a lot of people know about this part of the country and this part of the world. But once you're a part of it and you get to experience how special it is, and, you know, I was part of a team where we had, 10 different nationalities on the team, and we had local guys, we had Africans, Europeans, and it was just such a unique experience to be a part of. And I think all of us on the stage and all of us that walked on this campus and were part of this family, it still means an awful lot to us today.
Libby, we're turned to you now. We've been all around the country, this and that. You come from Randall High School, just up the road here in
just up the road.
Amarillo. You come to WT to participate on a track and field program in 2014 that had just been reinstated. Mm-hmm. You were ultra successful at the high school level, but you take a gamble on coming down here for a startup program. What was the thought during the recruiting process and when you decided to come to WT?
So the recruiting process is an interesting subject. So I was a big volleyball player in high school, and that was always my plan, was to play volleyball in college. And I think it was just at the end of my senior year, I decided, you know what, I think I can have more success in track. And so I called Coach Flowers and I said, hey, you think I could be on your team? And he said, well, what are your stats? And so I told him my stats, and he said, well, I think you'd be a good combined events. And so I said, what is that? And so I came on the team as a multi-athlete, participated in the pentathlon, heptathlon my freshman year, and eventually worked my way up to be on the sprint relay, mile relay, 100, 200, kind of just expanded all over the place. So, and was lucky enough to be a part of the volleyball program my last semester. So.
And as a freshman, she's being modest. She said she was a multi-athlete. 4x4 relay, 4x1 relay, 200, 800. You try and double in those. That's tough. 55-meter hurdles, the 60 hurdles, 100 hurdles, high jump, long jump, shot put, and if that's not enough, javelin.
It was a lot to learn.
Now, everybody on this stage has achieved All-America status, even Eugene, who took his young daughter Ava away there for a minute. Libby received 11 All-America honors during her time at WT.
Thank you.
And really, you set the tenor, so to speak, for what was to follow, because since your days at WT, not just the women's but the men's track and field program has become national elite. Did you ever dream after your 4 years here, you saw what was happening, that they'd be where they are today?
I could feel it. My senior year, we got 4th place as a team at nationals, and that was a big deal for the program. And so I could feel that things were coming up, and we were building an awesome program. But I really owe a lot to the seniors when I was a freshman. Sarah Snyder, Rachel King, Morgan Shelton, Katie Jones. They kind of laid the foundation for me of what was needed to be an incredible athlete and what you needed to do to be a part of this team and be successful in that program. So I feel like they kind of set the path, and then we were able to build on it. And then as I got older, I saw my junior, senior year, it just was growing exponentially. And then the year after I graduated, they won the national championships, which was awesome.
Okay, let's go back to Dr. O'Brien and your tenure as president. The building, the expansion of enrollment, the increase in enrollment, it was all a part of the plan, but you never know how it's going to turn out. Tell us a little bit about, when you came here in 2006, you came to a campus that, if I'm not mistaken, was about 7,200 in enrollment.
7,412.
And when you left, it was approaching 10. That's a massive increase.
Yeah, we knew that given the way the state of Texas funds public universities, we had to grow the institution because part of the formula funding is based upon weighted student credit hours, which is predicated upon enrollment. And even if you grew at less than the average for the 38 public universities, you lost money. So you had to figure out a way in which you could grow faster than the other institutions. Well, at that time in 2006, we had 2 residence halls that were centrally air conditioned in the panhandle of Texas. All the other ones were not centrally air conditioned, and some had some window units. That was it. So we knew we had to have new residence halls for the students. For recruiting of students, and I can tell you, I don't know how many times Don Carthel dragged me out to the athletic practice fields and the building that we had for the dressing rooms and so forth for the student athletes. Well, you weren't going to be able to recruit as you wanted to recruit for athletics unless you did something dramatic. And that was the idea for the recreational sports complex, which when that was finished, that was the absolute premier recreational sports complex in Division II and was far better than a lot of what Division I schools had. So we tried to do a whole lot of different things, renovation of buildings, enhancement of programs so that they got accredited, and the whole idea was to make the student experience the very best you could make it and to grow the institution. That was the driving force.
Eugene, we're going to come your way now. In the NFL, he played defensive end. When he was in high school and when he first started junior college ball, he was a wide receiver. Then they moved him on the defensive side to strong safety. My dad would say you ate your way into a defensive lineman, but I know that wasn't the case. You worked out and got that way. You come to WT to play defensive end, and in both of your years with the Buffaloes, you're named Lone Star Conference Defensive Lineman of the Year. Talk a little bit about your career, how you got to the point where you are.
I just trusted the process that Coach Carthel and his son had. They got me here, and they made me feel real welcome. How they went about everything, I knew they had an air raid offense, so I looked at it as, okay, if I'm going to play defensive end, I'm going to need to get a lot of sacks to get to where I'm trying to go. So when he offered me the scholarship and I came here, I saw Kimbrough and I seen the small town. It was like home. So that was my start. And then when I started playing, I just started playing defensive end, getting adjusted, and he actually just let me be who I was, and that was the big thing that led me to my career.
So let's stay with you. You are drafted by the then St. Louis Rams. You play, 5 years, 6 years in St. Louis, and then the franchise moves from the Midwest and the Midwest culture to Los Angeles. We have inducted a lot of athletes into the Hall of Champions, a lot of football players. You may be the first one that took part in a franchise that changed towns. What was that like, being a player? Did you know you were going to be moving, and what was the feeling in the locker room?
We knew beginning of the season, but the media didn't know. But it was fun. Like I said, I'm a country boy. It was like the Beverly Hills moving to Hollywood. So I didn't know what to expect, how to expect. I was just going with the role, and it was actually my contract year. I didn't know if I was going to be a Dallas Cowboy, so that wasn't going to happen. But end up taking the role in LA, and it was home. It was good.
Rita, let's turn it to you. Following your playing days at WT, you got to play internationally for New Zealand. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yep. So right before that, so after I had finished here, I actually never had a ticket back home to New Zealand, because part of it was I did have family support but not financially. So I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to get back halfway across the world back to New Zealand? And my pathway was to actually go to Europe first. So I was lucky enough to have my flights, accommodation, a bit like here, paid for 3 months while I was in the Netherlands. And then I just, did some trainings and helping the youth out while I was there while I played. So that's how I managed to get back home after 3 months. I did enjoy my time there. And so after that, I was able to, I had been a part of the New Zealand team prior as well, but I wasn't able to do it while I was here for financial reasons. So obviously I went back to work, so it was kind of like a life, what is my life going to be after softball? And so that's when I started building my career with employment, because when you're here at WT, student athlete is the biggest thing here. Whereas, when I'm back home, family, work comes before softball, unfortunately. It's just a different culture. You pay for everything yourself. So I was able to attend the World Series actually the following year. I came back to Oklahoma and saw a lot of family as well. Family and friends that come over from here. And then right before COVID, I was able to participate in the Olympic qualifier for the Asia Pacific countries. And so it was one team out of all of these countries were able to attend the 2020, 2020 Olympics. And unfortunately, we didn't make it, but Australia did, so it was still awesome to be a part of and be at the Olympic qualifier in China.
It's very cool. Seb, following your days at WT, you played professionally in Iceland and then made the transition into coaching. Was there an epiphany that took place, or what led you to get out of the playing and into the coaching?
So my wife, who's here, Erin, by the way, was a 2-time All-American WT volleyball player. Yeah. We have this argument in our house a lot. She's the most decorated buff in our house, and I'm on the stage tonight. So, we'd made the decision that we wanted to move to Europe and pursue a playing and coaching career there. And I'd signed my 3rd-year deal to go back to Iceland, and we had our son at the time, Henry, who was 1, and Erin was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer, and it really, our life changed like that. So we went from, we're going to keep playing soccer and pursuing this dream, to we have to come back to the US and we have to get medical treatment and we got to figure it out. My wife is a cancer survivor, and we've had 2 wonderful children since then, so we feel incredibly blessed. But it was in that moment. I've always known I wanted to stay in the game, whether it was playing or coaching, and it just happened that I had to accelerate that process and get into coaching. So again, first call is Butch. I'm like, hey Butch, what do you reckon? And he kind of gives me a nudge in the right direction, but kind of led from there.
You make life decisions, and well done. Laura, let's go to you. Tell us a memory you have of being a Lady Buff, whether it's a on the road story or during a game, something happening, just something that the crowd here, who a good chunk of them probably watched you play, will appreciate.
Well, there's a lot. Trying to think of one that I could share. So a lot of my memories were traveling with our team for the most part. We had a lot of vans break down. We had to change planes a few times because the planes, for whatever reason, had issues. But playing also was one of those things that, like, you just in the moment, you always remember everything. And of course, it's never, for me, I don't remember game specific anything. But I do enjoy I know Sam, my husband, makes fun of us all the time for volleyball players, but between every single point, we have to go high five, we have to tell everybody good job, it's yay, everything, and he doesn't.
Whether you got the point or not.
Yeah. So to explain that a little, if it's not on for us, I mean, it's usually to kind of give us time to go over maybe what happened. But for the most part, I mean, I really just enjoyed having all of the teammates there all the time, regardless of who's playing, who's not, what role you have on the team. I mean, getting all of the feedback from coaches, hearing like fans in general. I mean, like it's kind of too hard to pick one that sticks out, but really enjoyed all 4 years of playing, with Tony, even Scoach and Kendra, and with Sarah, Carthel, and Holly. I mean, they provided so much for us to be able to play as well as we did. I mean, I came into I feel like a really good program at a good time.
Okay, Libby, let's go back to you. You mentioned earlier the 2016 National Championship meet where the Lady Buffs finished fourth, but you had a pretty solid meet yourself down in Kingsville your sophomore year.
Yes,
at
sir.
the 2014 LSC Championships. I believe you tallied 40 points yourself.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that one.
It was a tough meet. There was a lot of events that I was doing, and it was tiring by the end, but it was, everybody pulled together that meet. I mean, the throwers were throwing, the jumpers were jumping, the sprinters were sprinting. Everybody was on their A game. One thing I do remember from that meet is I was high jumping, and I was tied between me and another girl, and I had to go run the 200 real quick. So I came back and had to do a jump off for the high jump. It was just a lot going on, but the adrenaline, man, I miss that feeling. Just that adrenaline and everybody pulling together, everybody cheering you on. I mean, it was an awesome feeling and a great meet.
It was a great meet. That's outstanding individual performance, but helping the team along the way. Let's keep it with you, and then we'll just bounce back this way. Tell us what your life has been since WT and what you're doing now, family, that kind of stuff.
Well, me and my husband, we got married October of last year, and he was with me throughout college. So we've actually been together since high school. So quite a long time together, and we're living in Denton, Texas now. I'm working for Prime West Mortgage as an assistant loan officer. My loan officer, Leanna, is here today. So that's exciting. But yeah, we just bought our first house in Denton. No kids, bunch of dogs running around, and we love it.
Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Laura, let's hear your post-WT story.
Well, I kind of moved around a lot. After school here, I went to Springfield, Missouri for about 7 years, and then was kind of like, I just kind of want to go back home for a while and check out down in Houston. So moved back down to Houston for 4 years, I think, and then kind of ended up back in Dallas on the way back up. And then this past, I guess, couple months, we've been back in Springfield. But yeah, I just kind of traveled a little bit all over, just trying to find my home, I guess, home away from home. Working for Jack Henry, they kind of do the financial software as well. So it's been fun. Been working for them for about a year now.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Seb, I know you mentioned your wife, Erin, but tell us, living in Baton Rouge, coaching SEC ball, kind of your life right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana right now. I mean, I'm sure Dr. Patrick O'Brien can attest to it. It's just a little different down there. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the people, it's a little different, but we're having a ton of fun. It's very challenging being in the SEC. I think the demands of the game and recruitment, and it's a competitive level, but it's a ton of fun. And while the kids are young, we're putting ourselves in a position to kind of get out there and compete a little bit. So Yeah, while I've got the mic, I just want to give, it's so unbelievably cool to see so many faces here tonight, but I've walked in the room and to see Coach Hassel and Coach Ramey, there's so many people that formative during times of our lives that, you know, we're young people trying to figure our shit out, quite frankly, and to have those people in our life, and now I'm on the other side of it, and I understand the value and the importance. I can't thank some of these people in this room enough, so really, really grateful.
And you mentioned living in southern Louisiana. People who've never been there don't understand when you say in the wintertime the swamps smolder. It is a very distinct smell.
Or when you get an alligator alert on the campus police, that's the fun one, yeah.
Very good. Rita, you're down in the southern hemisphere. Are you still able to compete, do you? And what's your life all about?
So after the Olympic qualifier, obviously COVID had hit, but I had known if we hadn't made the Olympics, I was finished with national softball, and I just so happened to get pregnant after that. So, you know, things panned out for me, and I love I love my children. So I have a stepson who's 8 years old, and my daughter Kalia is 2 years old now, just turned 2 last month. And I have another baby on the way in December. And one pretty cool thing, my partner Curtis, stand up. So this is my lovely partner Curtis. While we were in Las Vegas last week, and on my birthday, he actually proposed to me, so
congratulations.
So my next journey is just, you know, building my career and living through my kids now. I'm actually back. We purchased our own home where I grew up in the hood. But it's actually awesome, so yeah.
Now you mentioned your career. It is?
Oh, sorry. I work for Ministry of Social Development. Don't be surprised, some of my teammates. I'm a case manager, and I help people who are unemployed, who are on the benefit, get into employment.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. O'Brien, I know you and Karen always had an affinity for New Orleans. You're back down there now. I get the idea you don't stay there a lot. But tell us a little bit about post-presidency.
It's great. The lack of schedules, except for doctors. You have to schedule doctors. But we cruise a lot, and we go to good restaurants, as you know, in southern Louisiana, also southern Mississippi. There's some good food down there. And we partake of that, and we take photos of it and send it out to everybody to make them jealous. But I want to tell one story. I got Rita next to me. Karen and I are on a cruise in 2014. We're off the coast of France. And the softball team is in the national championship game. So we're at dinner. There had to be 350, 400 people there at dinner. And I take my iPhone and I connect to the internet and I connect to the game. And I follow the whole thing. Now, the dollars are rolling up. If you've been on cruise ships with that internet stuff, I mean, it's just rolling up. So anyway, brilliant game is being pitched. It was a pitching duel. They get to the 7th, 0-0. Then Brittany comes up to bat on the second pitch. Bam! 3-run home run. There we are in the restaurant. I jump up. Yes! Go Buffs! And these people are looking at me like, this guy has been at sea too long. So then we go into the bottom of the 7th. And they get 2 solo home runs. And then we've got Rita coming to the rescue. Strikes out the last batter, national championship is yours.
They always said pitching's the most important, right? Well, Eugene, you've played at WT, you've played in the National Football League. Now you're back near your home in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, which you may or may not know is down very near the Gulf Coast. There's a little bit of wetland between Hattiesburg and the Gulf, but tell us what's going on in your world now.
Well, I guess it's safe to say Ava can come back in, huh? Well, right now I'm just enjoying being a father. I missed a lot of time on my oldest too, Hayden. She's 14, and Skylar, she's 7, both athletes. Hayden is pitching for the high school right now. She's a pitcher in third base. Skylar, she don't know what she want to do, but she's my little athlete. And Savannah there, she's the backbone. I stress out every now and then, but that's to keep her on her toes. But other than that, just living and being a father.
Now, you also are helping out coaching at your alma mater in Mize.
Yeah, I got the Little League football team, and I got the 9 to 11-year-old. They keep me grounded as well, and they keep me busy, and they love me, and I love them, and yeah, that's what it is.
Well, that's wonderful. Buff Nation, let's show our appreciation towards our inductees tonight. While Michael McBroom makes his way back to the podium, just a reminder, Buffs, Texas A&M Kingsville, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we will recognize our inductees. At halftime of the game, Lady Buffs go at it again. They defeated Dallas Baptist tonight. Play again tomorrow, 2 o'clock. So pack the box, make it rowdy. Be at Buffalo Stadium tomorrow night. And Michael says that's it. Be safe. Thank you, everybody. Go Buffs.